Well, Klobuchar is running for president of these United States for the Democrat nomination of same, and that will begin our report on the candidates. And, of course, the big news this week, continuing to make news this week, is Joe Biden, and we do have a special report from the Uprising Joe Biden correspondent, former Uprising co-host, Tim Donner. Okay, here we go. Now we are rolling. Okay. Once again, back to the Uprising. We welcome the Uprising's Joe Biden for president, official correspondent.
Wait a minute. For president.
Yeah.
That's above my pay grade. It's just a general Joe Biden correspondent.
The reason why, Tim, we're paying attention to Joe Biden is not because he's the former senior senator from Delaware or because he's the immediate past
vice president.
Immediate
past, very good.
Vice president, as I like to say. For the non-professional, Tim, for the person whose beat is not to cover the Biden campaign, this is what the non-professional. I saw Joe Biden get accused by a couple more women of some creepy stuff, and then I saw a tweet or something where Joe Biden came out and basically said, I didn't do anything wrong, but I'm also going to not do it again, and I'll do better in the future. Yeah, that's sort of the sense of it. And the headline I saw today on the Drudge Report, and for the sake of the record, I'll say that we're recording this on a Thursday evening. It said, I think it was not Bannon, but Karl Rove, I think it was, saying, don't count out Biden.
You think Rove's prediction will be as accurate as it was for 2016 when on Election Day he said there's no possible way that Donald Trump could get more than 242 electoral votes?
You know, I appreciate your memory on that one. I didn't recall that.
Yes, I sure did.
Yeah. Well, all those guys, by the way, are always they're geniuses until the next election when they lose.
Right.
I was watching Carville on Meet the Depressed, or maybe it was this week, whatever, this past week. And I remember when they were saying that to him, like a genius, like he knows more about. And he just got, I mean, he was not an idiot, but what happens in the world isn't the machinations of the one guy, whether it's Carville or whether it's what's his name?
Well, going all the way back to Pat Caddell, who recently passed, getting Jimmy Carter elected. And then Karl Rove. Nobody got credit for Obama because he won it himself. He didn't need a handler particularly.
Right.
Kellyanne Conway gets a lot of credit for Trump, I think. But now we're down a bunny trail. We're off topic.
Tim,
we're off-topic geniuses here, you know.
I will redirect the show as it needs redirecting. Okay. So I'll take your cue, though. You wish to give your report. Please enlighten us. What do you see the main takeaways from this week's Biden goings-on?
The Joe Biden journey this week included, and by the way, this is an abridged segment because I could have gone, I could have done 15 clips, Scott, without even thinking about it, but I've got it narrowed down to 5, okay? And the first one...
And for you and the listener, let me just say, I don't expect that every week we will go this long on Joe Biden from now until...
You said that last week.
I know, it's true.
You said that last week.
You have to follow the news, Tim. It's event-driven. Go ahead.
All right, so here was the one that really kind of brought the issue to the fore. This was the woman, Lucy Flores, who was running and actually lost pretty badly, not necessarily because of Biden.
Not because of the sexual assault you're saying? Go ahead.
Running for lieutenant governor of Nevada back in 2014, and she basically described verbally what she had written about the week before.
It happened also suddenly. We were all lined up next to the stage. Eva was in front of me. Joe Biden was behind me. I'm kind of preparing myself to give these remarks. It's the very last days before the election. And very unexpectedly and out of nowhere, I feel Joe Biden put his hands on my shoulders, get up very close to me from behind, lean in, smell my hair, and then plant a slow kiss on the top of my head.
Creepy.
Slow. I like that it was a slow kiss.
It's also called a lingering kiss. Right. A lingering kiss.
Hold on just a second here. I want to do some math with you, okay? Longtime fans of the Uprising will recall our Tim Does Math on the podcast segment. Now, this is not a reiteration of that segment, but there is math involved. Now, how many events would you say Vice President Joe Biden attended in an average year of his vice presidency? And by events, I mean Mr. Vice President, we've got the lacrosse champions from the national whatever here for lunch. That kind of a thing. Could be 20 minutes. It could be 2 hours. All in. How many public events per year does the Vice President, Joe Biden, do? Did he do?
I'm going to say 250.
Okay, I made it double that in my estimation.
All right.
Because I'm counting the 15 and 20-minute ones, okay?
Right, and multiple per day, for example. Right.
But I'll take your math on it. Fine, I'll do your math. That's 250 events per year. Now, let me ask you a question. Out of every 100 public events, how often does, at the conclusion of that event, some woman text her girlfriend, spouse, dear diary, whatever, and say, not Joe Biden raped me or sexually assaulted me, but just what a creep he is. He made me feel icky or weird or something went down that wasn't kosher. Yeah. What percent out of 100? How many times does that happen at a Joe Biden event?
Out of 100?
Yeah, out of 100 events, how many times does that happen?
Is this a trick question?
No, it's not a trick question.
28.
Oh, okay.
30?
That's a little high. I was going to say like 2 or 3.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I was going to say like 2 or 3, okay, out of 100. Or maybe even 5 if you want to go crazy. So let's say 5, all right?
Okay.
So 5 events out of 100. You got 250 events per year. So that means you've got 10, 11, 12 and a half times 8 years. What's 12 and a half times 8, Tim?
That would be the same as 25 times 4. That's 100.
Okay, so now you've got 100 women out there, most of whom are some high-up Democrat type, who all have a story about Joe Biden being creepy towards them. Just during the time when he's vice president of the United States. That doesn't include when he was Senator creepy. And I can tell you what goes on in a Wilmington, Sheraton after hours is probably worse than what happens in the full light of day.
I love the way you made it a Sheraton instead of the Ritz, like a mid-level motel.
Come on. So the point of the whole math exercise is to say that and if you use my number of 500 a year, then you double that. There's a lot of inventory of women who have stories about Joe Biden being super creepy. And what I suspect is going to happen is those women that have even more creepy stories, they're waiting. Hopefully he'll do the decent thing and not run. But if they don't, then they're motivated to do it. And the reason why I say that so many of them are high-level Democrat women is because some significant minority of them probably have already committed to supporting one of the 42 other candidates for president.
Right.
And you can imagine knowing somebody who's been a candidate for office, how you would treat somebody who brought you news that one of your opponents acted in an inappropriately sexual way. It was like manna from heaven. Your stock just went up in the campaign. So all that is to say, these are going to come more and more frequent. We're going to hear more about creepy Uncle Joe.
It's not even necessary for that to happen, because anybody who was trolling YouTube this week would see that there are so many creepy Joe Biden video compilations out there that it's not even necessary for much more to come forward. Now, 3 more came forward today, Thursday or Wednesday, Thursday, beyond the 2 that we're going to play here. I got to say, though, I'll defend Joe Biden for 1 minute. Not defend him, but attack Pocahontas, who gets up there and says about Lucy Flores, who we played in that first segment, I believe Lucy Flores. What does that mean? She believes her based on what? And who cares what she singularly believes is true or not? This is what these women are saying. That's part of the, excuse me, Tim. I believe Christine Blasey Ford.
Would you insult somebody who genuflected in church? That's what this is. It's a genuflection. This is the church of progressivism and the church of Me Too. And that's, she has to genuflect at it. If she says for a second...
But you have to be so naked about it. I mean, it's
refreshing that she's not better at concealing it. That would be worse.
All right, now, let's get to Amy Lapos. She's the second one that came forward.
Our next hero, speaking truth to power.
This, let's just play it for you.
He reached over and put his hands behind my head and pulled me close, and I thought he's going to kiss me. And he was still pulling me in, and I was like, oh, okay, I think he is actually going to kiss me. And he started rubbing noses with me, and he was still holding on to my face. I just remember thinking, is he going to kiss me? Like, what's going on?
Eskimo kisses.
This is the vice president.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, it's so bizarre, Scott. That was a congressional aide, by the way.
Oh, my God.
Now, here's the thing, okay? Stephanie Carter, who was the wife of Ash Carter.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've
was the
seen this one.
Secretary of Defense. Okay. We've all seen that. Anybody paying attention has seen that.
This is the double massage.
Right.
Yes.
That's the double, the 28-second massage. But here's the point. In Stephanie Carter's case, she knew Biden. She was friends with Biden. And she has said it was fine and I didn't take it that way. And I think there's the division point, Scott. If he knows the person and they're fine with it, okay. But these are women like Lucy Flores and Amy Lampos that he didn't know them from Adam until he saw them there and then decided he was going to put the grope on.
Yeah. Look, if they have some personal relationship, that's one thing. It's still probably he's too handsy in a weird way. I mean, just like you say, you look at those YouTube videos, that there's something going on there. And then you couple that with the whole with the nakedness around the Secret Service agents
swimming naked in the White House pool,
but not in the White. No, in the Vice President's mansion
that's
with
right.
a female Secret Service detail with him at the pool.
Now, I think this is interesting,
and they complained about it. By the way, he still did it. That's the other thing.
He still did it. I'm the Vice President.
By the way, I can see almost. He's been around it. He was, it's 8 years he's vice president. I could actually see him being around it so long that he kind of forgets that they're there or whatever. But then, somebody reminds him.
And he still does it.
Yeah,
he still does it. But he did apologize. And I want to make one element of his apology that's worth noting.
Social norms have begun to change. They've shifted. And the boundaries of protecting personal space have been reset. And I get it. I hear what they're saying. I understand it. And I'll be much more mindful. That's my responsibility. And I'll meet it.
First of all, Scott, social norms are changing, okay? Now, this is an interesting point because he's kind of, he tried to apologize, whatever. Mm-hmm. But what he's saying is that all of that touching was okay before.
Right.
He's saying that, come on, Lucy.
Yeah.
I mean, in the old days, I think
of course,
I
was a racist in 1982. It was a long time ago,
I mean, he's basically saying that, that was just fine. And, okay, you want to change? All right, I'll go along with it. I mean, that's almost an implicit message there. I don't know whether people have taken it that way. But there's so much stuff.
One thing I saw this week, I guess it was maybe an attempt to sort of rehabilitate him a little bit, and it was Jill Biden, and she came in.
Excuse me, Scott. It's Dr. Jill Biden.
Right.
Dr. Jill Biden.
Excuse me, Tim. Yeah. But they said, she's affectionate too. And then they had a bunch of pictures of him hugging men too, to say see, he does it with fellas too. Like, it's okay.
Right.
No. It's a creep show all the way around.
It just is. I mean, it was creepy 30 years ago, and it's just as creepy today, no matter what the political climate is. Jon Stewart, okay, and Jon Stewart.
Getting our time machines back to what year is this?
This is 2000, and is it 14 or 15? This is 2014.
Okay,
this is 2014, and it's entire. So this Biden groping thing, the Creepy Joe, is not something new. That's the point of this. Jon Stewart did this back in 2014, and it was all about him giving the 28-second shoulder massage to Stephanie Carter.
Hey, you seem tense.
What he was saying.
Is it distress of me groping you for 28 straight seconds? Jesus, 28 seconds. That's like 3 decades in groped on camera years. This brings us to our newest segment. Joe Biden, you only have one job. As vice president, your mission is simple. You show up. You shake a couple of hands, you flash the pearlies, you get home in time for the Mindy Project. That's it. It's apparently a Senate rite of passage. You're not officially sworn in until Delaware Joe has felt up one female member of your immediately family.
I mean, so this stuff's been out there for a long time.
I want to be on the record, Tim, is when I found out that Obama picked him, I was perplexed. As somebody who's seen Joe Biden relatively up close through the
Scott,
years.
that's an easy answer. Come on, it's obvious. It's because
assassination
Biden,
protection.
No, it's because Biden said he was clean and articulate.
Oh, there you go.
Clean.
The compliments.
We're still trying to parse that word of why he called Obama clean, but
Racism,
we digress.
Yeah.
Okay, but that was Jon Stewart. That's out there a lot. There's stuff that, like from Alex Jones, that chronicles an incredible number of times that he's done this groping in public.
I have the documents.
Pretty much. Well, he's got the footage.
Right.
In this case, he's actually got the footage, and then he's got the ominous voice.
Do you think he's going to? Well, this is the takeaway I want at the end of your segment. Has the previous week? What has the previous week's impact been on Joe Biden's plans to be president of the United States? I think that tweet means he's not giving up. I think that tweet means he's doubling down, and we're going to see an announcement soon. That's sort of my takeaway.
I think he cannot resist. The polls would show him at the top of the heap, even though it's all name recognition, and he's at 28%, and you got Bernie at about 24%, and then the rest of them are down in teens or below. I don't think he can resist it. This is his last chance to run.
And he had a long list, Tim, of they played a clip on The View defending him. The Mika Brzezinski said, obviously because Mika Brzezinski likes Joe Biden and his politics, she would be sad if he didn't give her a hug and a kiss
and a 28-second shoulder rub.
And the fact that he does it to basically underlings or people that work for him or people that have a vast differential in power when they're waiting to go on and give a speech and makes them feel creepy. Well, Mika just says, grow up, I guess.
I would say this. After that, one of the most disastrous decisions I've seen by an impending presidential candidate, which was Pocahontas undergoing that DNA test. Mm-hmm. I mean, my thought was, she's so humiliated now. I mean, this is going to be the source of endless comedy and ridicule. And she's running anyway, acts as if it's not there. So maybe Biden will try to do that too. I mean, and he's going to have to. He's going to have to be able to compartmentalize all of that and somehow come up with an answer. I'm not sure he can. I mean, I don't think he can resist. But once he gets in, if he thinks it's bad now, what's it going to be like when he gets in? And it's not just Pocahontas and maybe Kamala Harris who say they believe Lucy Flores. They'll be attacking him. They'd be attacking him in the debates anyway because his name is at the top of the list. Mm-hmm. But with this in their quiver, the other 24 candidates, you think they're not going to go after him even more than they would have simply by virtue of him being the front runner? Oh, they will. It's just a matter of how bad does he want it, and I don't think anybody knows at this point.
Do you expect more women to come out in the near term? Any short-term predictions here?
Well, we've already had 5, right? 2 of them specific and then 3 more piled on. I think there will be some more because they're, like you said, over all the years, you had me do the math, but you were making the point that with all these things over all these years.
A lot of those women are in Delaware too. In other words, so that's actually that's actually like the real, what do you call it, the mother lode of that, to be sure. So, but the problem is for them to come out, he and Chris Coons and you joked around before about they all just kind of like switch offices over there. It's very incestuous, I guess, is the word for it, but closed off in terms of who gets to run. My point is that there's a lot of power. If you live in Delaware and you tell that story, that's a lot braver than living in Nevada and doing so.
No, that's certainly true. I read an interesting piece today. I think it was in the New York Times, some sort of establishment media outlet, I forget which, because I've read so many stories to prepare for being the Biden correspondent for the Uprising, which is consuming, frankly, about 95% of my time these days, Scott. But the way they built the story was that everybody said, Joe Biden, great guy, love him, really hope he doesn't run. That was sort of the consensus. almost like he's going to destroy his legacy by running. He'll be defined by being creepy Uncle Joe as opposed to being, Obama's obedient vice president and the guy that rode the Amtrak up and down
obedient vice president. Okay, and on that note, Joe Biden for president correspondent Tim Donner. Thank you so much for your report, Tim. Thank you for joining us again on The Uprising.
I'm sorry it couldn't have been longer, Scott.
Ciao.